I think I was describing like losing a match, and he goes, "Why?" He goes, "Why did you do that?"
Why did you lose?
Yeah. He's like, "Why did you lose?" Like, I don't know if it was like the person that I.
That sounds like something.
And then what's funny is like, I'm pretty sure it was him that he was like, you should be a lot better than you are, or something like that. Like,
right.
why aren't you better than you are?
Yes.
And then he said the same thing about you, Evan.
That I should be way better than him.
He was like Evan too. Like what?
What
like
the fuck?
Yeah, he's
What's
like,
wrong with you guys?
He should be blah 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 by now.
Yeah.
Right.
So, welcome to the Eternal Human Show. I'm here with my podcast partner, Ben Nappy.
Hello.
And I'm Evan Alsop. And today's discussion is going to center around what I call the process of integration, just as a human, essentially, through the sport of tennis.
Okay.
So, at least that's my experience playing the sport, is it's a practice of integration on the physical level, obviously being an athletic sport, the emotional level, on the psychological level, then if you want to get woo-woo about it, on the spiritual level. And so I kind of had like a loose structure for talking about this. Like I want to be a little more structured than in our podcast experiments before.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to keep on one topic and see how that goes. Yeah.
So my kind of general roadmap for the conversation is going to be starting with the physical integration through tennis and what that means, and then move on to like the emotional experience through tennis, then the mental, psychological, and then maybe get to some broader spiritual aspects of integration that we can talk about through the lens of tennis. And I also want to say this conversation is not just for tennis players. We're just using our experience being tennis players to discuss this process of integration. And we can apply it to other practices, which at the end we might get to that. Mm-hmm. And I know you have some audience questions we'll get to at some point. Mm-hmm. But maybe we can start with just our personal background with tennis and like how we got started.
Okay.
So,
do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, and one of the pieces that I remembered was because I didn't start playing competitive tennis until I was probably in my, I would say, mid-20s, or maybe even, probably mid-20s.
Yeah, it's late on the later side.
Yep.
For sure.
I don't know when the first time I ever played tennis is. I probably likely played it in like grade school, during gym class or something like that. I don't really have a memory of that. But I would say I probably did. I mean,
had a racket in your hand.
Yeah, I probably had a racket in my hand at some point in gym class or something. The school I went to, didn't have tennis as a sport. I played some other sports in grade school and then up through junior high. So I didn't actually play organized sports past like junior high. Yeah. Which was when I started to get into music, and then that became my hobby, and also I think just being the age I was and the people maybe I was hanging out with and your that kind of thing. Yeah, I just didn't really. None of my friends were
tennis
playing
has
sports.
Like a certain like image to it.
Yeah,
traditionally, which I think is not
for me.
So
just sports
anymore,
in general too.
Yeah.
I mean, my friends weren't playing sports, and I think when you're a teenager, it's a lot about what your friends are doing, right? Like a lot of times.
At the end of the show, I want to get into the very nature of decision making. So like in free will, almost even when like in tennis, when you're making a shot, it's like, did I really choose to do that?
Right.
Or did it just happen due to all these other factors? But,
but not much before then. But then when I was in my, I think, late teens or early 20s, a friend of mine and I think we were just bored one day, and we had, I think my parents had a couple of old, metal rackets that were just these old
80s.
crappy rackets. And I don't know, we found a tennis ball laying around somewhere. I don't know why. We ended up playing tennis in the road just for fun. Like, no net. Yeah. We kind of made up the rules. We never even had played tennis before, I don't think.
Wow.
And just but then we started doing it a bunch. And it was like street tennis,
That's interesting.
We had a name for it, which I won't say because it's actually embarrassing and not.
Might get canceled or just
it just wasn't good. But but I remember, we had a ton of fun and did that a lot. But then I think I was probably in my mid-20s, and I do remember asking a friend of mine randomly. I was at work. I think I emailed him or something. I was just like, "Hey man, we should play doubles tennis," just randomly.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't have a memory of why I said that, but him and I, and then our partners were, my wife and his wife now, were hanging out together, and I think I was just like, hey, we should play doubles tennis, and he was like, yes, let's do it. And so the four of us played together and did that, I think, a few times maybe, and then him and I started playing together randomly, not knowing anything about tennis. I mean, we ended up, again, we were probably using wooden rackets that are old metal rackets. So
the first time you played on a court was doubles, not singles? On
an actual tennis court, it would have been doubles. Yep, I believe so.
Cool.
And then I have a memory of, at one point we were playing doubles with our now wives, and they were just like, you guys are taking this too seriously, getting too competitive.
Yeah. Okay.
And they stopped playing, but him and I kept playing. And that was kind of where my obsession with it started. Because I really did, I call it one of the only passions, I guess, I've had in my life.
Really focused.
Yeah. I got obsessed with it for a little while,
What do you think, looking back to the street tennis that just kind of organically happened, it seems, what about that drew you in? Why was it so fun? As a complete beginner, didn't even know what you were doing.
Yeah.
But it was you enjoyed it enough that it just continued, it seems like.
I think there was a couple of things. I mentioned that I didn't play organized sports past junior high, but I always liked sports. I think the reasons why I didn't play were, again, my friends weren't playing. I got into some other hobbies. There were some things I just didn't like about organized sports, especially when I got older. Just, I was just anxious and embarrassed or whatever.
Social aspects.
The social stuff. But I always liked sports. Friends and I would play street hockey or pick up basketball. So now that you
Yeah.
asked that, I'm thinking was probably a connection with street hockey and some
Yeah.
nostalgia piece
Yeah.
going on with it of like, when I was, because I hadn't probably played street hockey in years at that point, and just a fun, like, there was probably a little piece of nostalgia with that, I
Yeah.
think. And then again, I've always liked sports and games in general. So I think both of those would lend themselves to again and just sitting around being bored or whatever.
Yeah. And then, I mean, clearly, even starting late, like the amount of focus you put into it, like you got up pretty quickly in your level to be able to compete with, like, at least in our area, some of the better players around.
Yeah. So then I remember, my buddy and I that started playing together, we started playing together pretty often. And then somehow we ended up, finding local clinics and leagues
Sure.
at the club nearby, probably during the fall or winter, and we joined those. I remember, they had like beginner clinics or beginner leagues that I think it was like a 2.5 or what. It's very beginner type stuff.
Shout out to Damon over at Twin Oaks.
At the time, there was a guy. His name is Rich. I don't remember his last name, but they had this thing at the club where it was like a tennis not a consultation, but like we'll show you around the club and get you introduced. You got like a free half an hour lesson with the pro, I think, or something like that. And so I did that, and then he probably told me about like the clinics and leagues and stuff.
Gotcha.
My buddy and I, played in those and kept going with that, and I would play, in the ladder and the local leagues and do the clinics, and I maybe had, a couple of private or semi-private lessons, but it was mostly like self-taught stuff. I specifically remember I actually bought the book Tennis for Idiots or whatever that like
sure, there's a bunch
what
of
is it, the Idiot's
Dummies
Guide, dummies. Tennis for Dummies. And so I remember going through that and like,
so you weren't going in blind, because like entirely you had some like level of fairly early on, like, this is how you hold the racket, this is
I don't think
you didn't develop any like terrible
probably
habits
didn't,
just trying to figure it out yourself.
No, probably not.
Because they can become ingrained later on.
Yeah.
I
probably started learning, actually how to do those basics pretty early.
That's one benefit of learning something a little later, is you can be a bit more methodical in how you go about learning. Even if you might learn quicker as a kid, it's just kind of haphazard. It's like what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, there were a number of years where, like I said, I was just like obsessed with it. Like any free time I had, I feel like I would either be watching tennis, I followed professional tennis, like all year long. And I would like follow the rankings all year long.
I feel like professional tennis becomes, if you can appreciate it, I'm sure, if you don't play, but if you got to play at least a little bit to be able to appreciate what you're watching. Then you get really into watching what the pros can do.
And we just kind of continued that obsession, and
it's been like a never-ending kind of
it's definitely waned, I guess, or lessened over the years. Like I would say the last maybe 3 to 5 years, I've definitely noticed like I don't follow much professional tennis anymore.
Same.
A little bit.
I mean, once
Federer
retired, he's kind of the favorite player.
And then I definitely, I don't play as much. I still play regularly. I still play quite a bit, I think,
Well,
but not
yeah.
as much as I did in the past. Like when I was really into it, I was like organizing my own tournaments and like got
I remember.
involved in
Yeah.
and a friend and I, were organizing a league, and
Yeah, team
I was
captain.
captaining, USTA teams and that kind of stuff. So, it was,
Yeah. Well, and the way I want to, at least from my experience, this idea and this topic of tennis being a practice for integration, as I was saying in the beginning, it's one of those things with any practice, it kind of ebbs and flows with, okay, do you, like if I'm feeling tight or tense or something, I might do some yoga or like stretch. Like that's like, oh, okay, like I get called to the practice.
Yeah.
Versus other times maybe I'm feeling loose and I don't need to go to that. And yeah, tennis has been one of my passions too, but sometimes it switches with other things. Like I have like this rotating I don't know, few passions that I'll rotate. If I get bored with one, I'll like switch to the other.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
But definitely tennis is one of those key.
Yep. I've taken some
foundations
purposeful. Well, I've had to take breaks sometimes because of injuries, and then I've taken some purposeful breaks as well to like either not get injured, because I knew started to realize that like, oh man, you gotta take it easy sometimes, or I got really fed up with it sometimes and took some breaks to just be like, oh man, I gotta like.
It could be a physical limitation. It could be a mental, emotional burnout. Yeah, with anything, too much of anything, balancing that.
Was that a pretty good summary?
Yeah,
of, like,
that was very thorough. I liked it. Yeah.
What about yours? What's your like origin from?
So I had a bit more traditional, like had a racket in my hand as a kid, like even in like preschool. Like I went to preschool at the same club that we have been members at, because I've in Burlington.
Really?
So yeah, they had like a little preschool there. But a bunch of like 3-year-olds running around in like Jake's clinic and Joyce.
Wow.
Like, it's just chaotic. You're not really doing anything. Like, can I say that I learned tennis in a structured way as a little kid? No, not really. But I did have a racket in my hand and I was running around on the court. And my parents played to some degree. Like my dad grew up playing as a kid. And my mom, like you, kind of learned to play like in her 20s or later in life. And
Does she still play?
She does. Trying to get her to keep playing.
Yeah.
Like she played a lot for a while and is starting to play less.
It's interesting to me that I don't think I've ever seen your mom play.
I'm sure you've crossed paths.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I think she was like more into it. So as a kid, I would play with my parents and here and there, like with a friend or something. So it was fun. Like I could play. Like I said, oh yeah, I knew how to play tennis. But didn't really have any like one-on-one lessons. Like I would go to some clinics now and then, probably between the ages of 7 and 12 or something. But I wasn't like part of any kind of junior tennis, like
a team
group or even a camp that was really.
Really? You didn't go to...
Well, like, okay, there was like one summer camp that was up in the islands that Joyce helped teach somewhat, but it's still like a bunch of kids and you're not getting one-on-one like lessons.
Injuries, sorry, I have like my shoulders bothering me from tennis.
Well, okay. We'll get to that, the physical challenges. But yeah, I didn't have like a one-on-one lesson until I was 13. And if you look at like pros or people who are really good, it's like they are like Andre Agassi or something like that. They're being drilled from the age of like 4 or 5 in like very specific technique and competition and all these things. So if you want to be at the highest level, or even like a high level college player, generally you start pretty young. There are some exceptions. I think John Isner started like maybe around 12 or 13. But
Yeah,
he was
there
like
was some-
7 feet tall, so he had an advantage with
Yeah.
the serve.
There was some thing I read one time that said like the highest you can get to basically is like 5-0 without if
Which
you didn't.
is really
It's
good.
really,
That's really
good.
good. That's
yeah,
really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I liked tennis as a kid. It was fun and something I did mostly with my parents. And you know, I didn't really have any good friends who played tennis at that age. But when I got to high school, it became kind of like, you know, you're looking for identity. And like music was one of the things that I liked, to play guitar, and I played tennis, and there was a tennis team, and so I tried out for that freshman year. Got initially not making the team, but eventually then I like went and like talked to the coach, and he let me on the team. And because I had just barely like had lessons like the year before. Frankly, also, you know, with you were talking about the social aspect of like sports, there's definitely like a political who knows who. You know, I didn't have like any friends on the team. There's some people I was definitely better than who were on the team, but it wasn't like I was like one of the top 2 or 3 players for sure, like who just automatically get put on there. So, but I made the team, and then that started becoming like, oh, now started having some social connections. Like had a friend who also played. He was a little better than me. He had probably played in like junior tennis and had a bit more experience. And so I started playing, but definitely like the mental game at that side. Like this is my first time really like competing.
Yeah.
Like I played baseball and like a little hockey as a kid, but like a one-on-one competition type thing, that was new. So I feel like even with when I started having like one-on-one lessons, I really got focused on form and technique and like getting my ground strokes sound. So that was one thing. But then as soon as like a match started, I was like, what is going on? This is totally different. So you start confronting some of that, those challenges. Okay, like once I was in high school, it started becoming, I was on the team, and then it became a little bit of an identity. But then I saw some professional tennis in person in Montreal, and I saw Roger Federer play. Got to see him practice in person in like 2009. So I was 16, I think. Yeah, and I just remember that, and it's like, okay, this dude is like, you knew who he was, but then I realized just the artistry, and like he's one of the coolest just public figures, period, whatever, like sport. Like the guy is so suave, basically like James Bond, right? So it's like, okay, here's like a role model who I can try. You know, you're looking for identity as a teenager, and it's like, hey, I play tennis. I want to play tennis. Like then I started like actually taking it more seriously. So probably 16, and then from 16 on into college, I was actually trying to get good. Like before, it was just this thing that kind of happened that I enjoyed, started building a bit of identity around. And then from there, I like really just, and being somebody who looked up to Federer, like trying to be a Federer poser, you know, like this, it's kind of like an art, like perfect technique and just like grace and artistry was kind of my aim. And that's kind of how this idea of like, wow, that's really, you realize how difficult that is once you start really trying. When you compare yourself to Federer, like how is that even possible? And then it's like, how do I get from here to there? And you don't, but how do you try or get closer? And then you begin this process, which involves, again, it's not just a physical athletic thing. It's a mental, emotional, and all these things you have to go through to improve and learn, and that you can apply to anything in life. And and I'm still on that process. I'd like to get to the next level. You know? Without making it about achieving levels. But once you go through that, you know, for 15 years at this point, you realize that the practice of getting better at tennis has made you a more self-aware person, because in order to get better at tennis, you have to become a better person in a lot of ways, a more aware person. So I think that's really kind of what's driven my motivation to play, and kind of where I've ended up with the sport, as it's more of a practice than just like a fun hobby, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At one point, fairly recently, you had started doing a YouTube channel based on.
That's true.
Yeah. Based on, specifically trying to get to a certain level, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe just seeing how.
The impetus for that was I was dealing with a health issue that's been on and off, and I wanted something to like motivate me and hold me accountable to like get back on track.
Okay. Yep.
And tennis was already like part of my practice as whatever, at least on a physical exercise health level. And yeah, and that it did help. It did peter out, but I'm still on that object. Like the 5.0 level has always been, I think, like that first coach that I had in high school, he was like, oh, okay, he's a 5.0. I want to be as good as him someday, you know? And he was like, that's like semi-pro, right? Like,
yeah.
It's tough to get to that level. You got to play a lot and frequently to keep that type of level up.
Yep.
Versus like if you're going to be like casual with it and on and off, 5.0 is kind of hard to reach. But like you can get 4 or 5, but that's really good too.
It is, yeah. I mean,
these are just USTA ranked, like it's the national tennis.
Yeah, so I think
ranking system.
I think 4.0. Yeah, it goes from 1 to 7, which is 7 is a professional tennis player.
Yeah, well, like ATP or like top.
Yeah. Like makes a living playing tennis. 4.0, I believe, is considered like advanced intermediate or something around those.
Like whatever the USTA says, from my experience, to me, a 4.0 is like, how to play tennis. Like you might have a couple technical lapses, like that aren't real, like your backhand isn't really what it should be, but you can hit a backhand, you can hit all the shots. You might have a few like technical hangups, but you know how to play tennis and you can hit all the shots, maybe not great. And to me, then like you can go up half a point to 4 or 5. 4 or 5s, again, generally speaking, they don't have any major technical lapses. They don't have any major technical lapses. They can hit all the shots, and they don't have any major technical lapses. There are counterexamples, because there might be somebody with just an amazing serve who has a terrible backhand, and it balances out, so they're a 4 or 5, right?
Yep.
But generally speaking, if you're a 4 or 5, you just can hit all the shots. You have no glaring technical issue. When you get to a 5.0, it's like you can hit some professional level shots. Like not only do you not have any glaring issues in your game technically, you also have some like at least one major weapon that can do real damage.
The other thing too, though, with USTA, those rankings is they do have a matrix that you can look at where it's like, oh yeah, a 4.0 player should be able to do X, Y, and Z, but really, it's who you can beat, because there's
that's the result.
You know, when you join the USTA, United States Tennis Association, which is like what adult players join to compete in like any, I guess, official competition type of thing, right? You self-rate based on that matrix, but then it really turns into like, who can you beat? Because you could have great technique and shots and stuff,
but you could be a head case on the court and just we're gonna get to that.
Or you could be just like really out of shape or whatever it is.
Totally.
And Or the opposite could be true. Like there's some, which we both know, like there's some people who are like, man, how does that person beat me? You know, the based on their technique or whatever, but they just know how to win. You know,
So
and they could be a higher level than you in USTA.
There's like something called a pusher, who is like the type of player who just gets everything back. They're not really focused on like I was talking when I was 16, like seeing Roger Federer, and it's like, I'm going to try to do that. I know I'm not going to get there. Like that's the ideal. There's this concept I've been thinking of from a teacher I follow, talking about the ideal versus the real, and being able to kind of not get too caught up with what the ideal perfection is, and be honest about where you're at, and kind of finding a balance between those, but striving to do something as perfectly as you can often involves sacrificing short-term success for long-term success. So the pusher isn't really concerned with perfection. They're just concerned, what do I have to do to win?
Yeah.
And at the lower levels, it's get the ball back on the court more than your opponent. It doesn't matter if it's ugly or gritty or whatever. And up to probably like the 4-0 level, pushers are really hard to beat. But once you get there, the pusher can't get any better because they haven't been developing past that level.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. No, they can. But
sometimes you can see, them at higher levels, or a kind of a variation of it. It's not necessarily...
They have to be better than just get the ball back. They have to be able to do some type of damage to their opponent.
Pretty well-known, I think he's pretty well-known, YouTube tennis player that is, I think, what you would consider a pusher. And I think it's like something like most annoying player, or most most something. He has a nickname. It's like MAP or whatever it is. And he's ranked 4 or 5 and beats good players. And if you watch him play, you're like, what, like.
And then it could also, I mean, who knows? There's some players who are just amazing athletes.
Yep.
Like maybe they just have incredible endurance. There's this one guy we play that is a runner, and he just gets everything back and doesn't get tired.
Yep.
So it's like you might beat him for a little bit, then you get tired, and then he's still getting the ball back. It's like, okay, I guess I got to do some more off-court training if I want to, actually put him away. So, I want to maybe go into like phase 1 of the conversation. It's as a loose framework, right?
Sure.
So I was thinking, again, we were just kind of transitioning from this idea.
Did you get through all of your origin? Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
That I left out. But so this idea of some people, what is your purpose? Like you could just play tennis because you like competition and you like to get some cardio, and that's it. Like you don't have to make it into this huge spiritual integration practice that it is for me and that I want to really delve into. Or you can. So if you do, and if you are somebody who's interested in just the integration of body, mind, soul, and emotions and all those types of things, I think starting on the physical level with any type of mental health stuff is important. Like before you start getting into like Jungian analysis and your subconscious, are you fit? Like, are you healthy? Is your environment in order? Like, what are like the simple physical things that you can get in order? And athletics, tennis in this case, is something that really makes you pay attention to your body in a way. Like in order to hit a serve as well as you can, it involves this kinetic chain where everything is connected from like the ground, right? And your feet has to be this kinetic chain that is unbroken all the way from your feet in the ground, all the way to your shoulder, to your elbow, to your hand, to the racket, into the ball. And the more fluidly you can do that without any type of tension, notwithstanding actually having the right technique and motion and path. That's, the most efficient way for the human body to make such a motion. You need to continually improve the smoothness of the kinetic chain. And the process of that, you have to man, is my shoulder tight? Is there any part of that? And generally speaking, when you start and when you continue on the path, you realize all these links and all these flaws just on a physical level, right? So each shot is like a kinetic chain. A forehand is a kinetic chain, backhand, kinetic chain, and in learning the technique. And it's one of those things why, almost like Buddhist teaching, the Zen master can't really tell you the teaching. They can demonstrate, they can give an example, and they can use words I always use the example that the Buddha famously said, you can point to the moon with words, but you can't actually show somebody the moon if they don't look at it. Don't look at the finger that's pointing to the moon. Look at the moon. So you can try to tell somebody, okay, here's the mechanics of the serve, here's what it looks like. But you actually have to feel it out yourself. Yeah. You actually have to feel what is the path of least resistance. Because you'll see, there are old people who are just really good tennis players who can kick some younger person's butt who has worse form and technique, because they're just effortlessly generating power, because it doesn't take so much muscle. If you are a great athlete on top of having great form, then you're amazing. Yep. You're Roger Federer or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of this very, very attuned process to get better and better in tennis, even just on a physical level, developing these kinetic chains. I was also thinking that this concept of entropy in science, right? Disorder. It's you're lowering entropy on a signal. Is almost when you're practicing a serve, sometimes, I should do it more, just having a basket of balls and hitting serves over and over and over again, and it becomes like a meditation. And what I'm really trying to do is where are the blocks? Where's the hitch coming? Where do I need to loosen up? Where do I need to become more aware on a physical level? And going back to integration as a whole, I think physically, before you even get into the emotions and the mental and all that stuff, becoming integrated in an energetic sense, the body, I believe, is an energetic instrument, right? So tennis forces you to, if you want to get better and use it as a practice, it forces you to become more and more aware of your body and of how your energy is flowing on a day-to-day basis. Some days you might be way off. Some days you might feel amazing on the court. And at first you don't know, but that happens enough times and you're something is going on internally that is resulting in that. And it becomes this, this constant inquiry. It's a means of self-inquiry on the physical level. So I don't know, does any of that resonate as far as just even working on form, working on technique, working on why do you play well when you play well? When you hit a good shot, what's good about it? Why is it good?
Yeah, those that's such a mystery to me. I was just thinking how the other day, actually, I had a big win in mixed doubles, which if you're not familiar with tennis, it just means a man and a woman playing on a team against another man and a woman. And it was a USTA match, and my partner and I beat this team that I've played the woman before in mixed doubles and never beaten a team that she was on, and it just was a really good win. We won 6-2, 6-3. Wow. And but I'm why did I play well? I don't everything was, it felt like everything was clicking, from serve to volleys to it just from the start. And I do remember, kind of halfway through the match, my partner asked me a question about my volleys. So she's like, "Yeah, you seem like you're, hitting your volleys like more aggressive. Like, what have you been doing?" And
we've been practicing that.
I'm like, let's talk after the match because I just didn't want to do anything different. I'm like, I just want to just keep doing what I'm doing.
So your opponent said that?
No, my partner,
okay.
asked me that, and I was just like, let's talk about it after the match.
Yep.
And I just feel like I didn't really have. If I had a lapse where I, had a down, my level dropped or whatever, it was probably pretty quick. And I was trying to think of like what did I do differently or what, and it's just a lot of times it's just a mystery. I
was like a flow state, right? Is
yeah.
That kinda, when you play their best, would you describe it like that?
I've heard that term, obviously heard that term before and thought about it a bunch. And I actually, I think you and I have talked about how I've done EFT tapping before.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
And I've done that quite a few times because they have, sports related ones too.
Interesting.
And there's one that I've done, which is like finding flow. So you basically just do it before you play.
Yeah.
And then it's basically there's things in there where it's like I can create, flow states.
Did you do this before this match?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I guess what I was getting at is I don't know if I have that flow state, I guess I don't recognize it.
Yeah.
Or which I guess would make sense. But it
not in the
I'm
moment.
such a my head is constantly I'm thinking all the time when I'm playing.
But maybe your thoughts can be more focused at sometimes than others.
Yeah.
Like it's like sometimes you're thinking about grocery shopping or versus that whole time I was thinking about I'm going to serve out wide and volley cross.
Yep.
Like you're just more focused.
Yeah.
Right? It's more so
like getting back to the physical thing, I don't
I think that bringing up EFT tapping is interesting. My understanding is it's almost like you tap certain parts, maybe like
it's a specific order. And
again, like I was talking about the kinetic chain of trying to like connect lower body, upper body in like this unimpeded flow without any breaks in the link of the kinetic chain. And it's about moving energy. Like hitting a tennis ball well has to do with having an efficient means of transporting the energy from the ground through your body. Your body is just a conduit through the racket into the ball. And the more efficiently you can do that, the better you can hit the tennis ball. In EFT tapping, I think the principle is to try to get energy flowing in your body, right?
There's I think probably different things that people focus on or choose to believe in as far as, doing it. But one of the those things is the energy chain.
Yeah.
I do it more. I look at it more of it on a I guess you'd call it a physiological level.
As a stimulating effect of some kind.
Or just like training your brain, or maybe even tricking your brain.
Right.
I look at it more in that way than I do the energy chain or that kind of stuff. That's just how my mind works. But definitely it has, I think, backgrounds or connections to some other practices.
Well, I always like honing in on different ways of describing things, especially from, it's like, okay, yes, you can say like this Eastern, almost like the acupuncture meridians, the body is flowing, has a bit of more of a mystical way of looking at it. Or you could just be more like analytical and materialist and just talk about physics and energy flow. Like It goes from the ground to the racket to the ball. It's just
Yep.
physics.
Yeah.
And low entropy. Or you could say the energy is flowing through your body in a more mystical way. But you're talking about the same concept.
Yeah.
So, in going back to this concept of integration, the physical aspect of the integration in tennis, when you start talking about energy itself and the nature of the difference between physical, emotional, psychological, energy is kind of in all of those things. And integrating of energy can manifest in a physical, emotional, psychological way. But I was thinking of the kinetic chain itself, even like it can almost be a hindrance to break things down too technically when you're learning to hit a serve or a forehand.
Yeah, for sure.
And you start thinking about like, okay, my elbow does this, my arm does this, my shoulder does this, my feet are here. Your mind can't break it down into that many pieces to focus on at one time.
Yep.
It can help at certain moments to have that analytical mapped out understanding of the motion, but ultimately it's a feeling. And it's like this whole like the kinetic chain isn't a bunch of chains linked together. It's one fluid line.
Yep.
It's one motion. A forehand is a forehand. It's not like step by step by step by step. You can look at it that way when you're learning, but the goal is to piece it together into one fluid thing, not a series of parts.
I think with sports too, talking about thinking about, my arm is doing this and my legs are doing this, whatever.
Being mechanical.
It ideally you wouldn't have to think about any of that, especially if you're playing competitively. Like professional athletes, I think, for the vast majority of the time aren't thinking about that kind of stuff. Like it becomes just second nature, it's with enough repetition.
Yeah.
I've talked about, let's not changing the subject.
No.
I follow mixed martial arts some, the UFC.
Yeah.
And they talk about that all the time. And like when you're in a fight, you can't be thinking about.
No, that's a split second of thought is you're gonna get knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just enough repetition, and it just happens,
And I mean, I want to maybe touch on the different other means of practicing, other practices, other disciplines. Martial arts is one of them that you could have the same conversation rather than talking about tennis. We're tennis players, so we're talking about tennis. But yeah, this notion of like having a more holistic way of looking at things on a physical level. Even. One of the toughest things is being able to balance, just from a physical standpoint, the need to be like loose and relaxed and also incredibly physically engaged and aggressive at the same time. Like it doesn't compute intellectually.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, be really loose. But then if you're too loose, you're going to have no form or structure to what you're doing. And then if you're like too jacked up and intense, you're going to be so tense that you can't have any looseness and you can't generate any like racket speed. So you have to like do both. And it's like ballet. It's like dance. That's like what grace is. It's this perfect unison of those two, of balance. And going back, that reminds me like the first time I saw Federer play, who to me, if you're familiar at all with like tennis and the way he played, he's like playing a different sport than everybody else. He's just like so much classier, so much. It's a really hard sport, and he just made it look effortless, and still was one of the best, if not the best. Leave that debate aside. But the first time I saw him play, he was practicing before the match. And the image that I have in my mind is he like just so effortlessly, casually missed a shot where he just, maybe I've told this story before, but I just saw him hit like this casual backhand slice, which was just like perfectly knifed. Looks like he barely tried. It clipped the tape and just like bounced, fell back on his side. And then he just keeps hitting like perfect shots. I'm like, oh, and he missed. He didn't even care that he missed. I don't know. It just, that's what captivated me. It made me really kind of get into tennis. But yeah, so on this physical side of things, this physical integration, like inner body awareness, getting the flow of your energy to be smoother and smoother. And one of the ways that you become aware is like some days you show up and you're just totally discombobulated physically and you're uncoordinated, you don't know why. Another day you just like show up and at least maybe you play a set, maybe you're playing a match and you're just lights out. And then all of a sudden you fall apart and you just don't know what's going on. And little by little, in my experience, that completely being in the dark with your level, you become more and more aware from my experience. Like if I'm feeling really off, I'm like missing, it's usually or oftentimes I might notice, wow, you're tight and you're tense, you need to loosen up. So mentally what you might be inclined to do is, wait, I'm missing, I need more control. And more control, you start getting tighter, then you can't get anything on the ball, then you play worse. Then you learn, you're like, that didn't work. Oh, I need to loosen up, I need to actually like go for more. And then you might miss because you're going for too much, but then you're loosening up. And I know, okay, I'm missing right now, but in 5 minutes I'll be loose and then I can kind of like come back a little bit. So it's like these very subtle realizations day in, day out, year after year of playing, where you become more aware of yourself and how integrated your energy is in your body as you're playing. So you don't just show up and you're like, well, I suck today and I have no idea why, or I was really good today, I have no idea why. You can at least, even if you can't totally make yourself play the best every day, because we can't control any, if not many, of the factors in our day-to-day lives, but you can at least be aware. And that's how that integration starts on a physical level. Kind of this psychosomatic practice of tennis,
I don't remember who it was, but I remember somebody saying, like, if you have a really good day like that, basically trace your steps backwards, like the last 24 to 48 hours.
I like that.
Exactly what you did, like from like what you ate, how much you slept, who you talked to, what you said, what you did, where you went, like every little thing, and then basically try to copy that as much as possible and see if there's some kind of
it's kind of like, I think I've done that to varying degrees, and I think that is it's a great experiment.
Yeah,
and
I don't think I've ever done it like
not to that
like,
level.
yeah,
Neither have I. But we were talking about diet,
Mm-hmm.
like before we started talking about this, and how some people like, find this perfect diet, and I've never experienced that. As soon, and again, this is kind of a Buddhist thing, this nature of like clinging to something. It's like, oh, this is the perfect formula. Do this, this, and this, and like you're good. It's just kind of like put in this equation.
Yeah.
Boop, boop, boop. And okay, that's how you have a perfect day. So you can't do that from my experience. As soon as you think like, but you doing the experiment, you can find some correlations. Like maybe if you meditate for a half hour before stepping onto the court, for me, that probably ups my chances of playing well. Yep. Overall, is it a guarantee? No. Yeah. There's no like absolute.
Yeah.
With anything you break down into some type of formula, but these are the explorations that tennis makes you do. Yeah. And in one sense, you discover nothing that you can intellectually communicate, but are you changed in the process? I would say yes.
Another thought I had was, while you were talking about just this topic that you're mm-hmm. talking about, I wonder, my mind goes to tennis players that both of us play with regularly or, fairly often, and just how much of this they do or don't think about. Like there could be somebody that we know that's like a lot better than us, and they're like, I never think about any of that shit.
Well, yeah, actually, that reminds me, talking about players, like professional players, best in the world, who often grow up playing and they're amazing by the time they can tie their shoes. And you ask them like, oh, can you give me some tips on my serve? And it's like, yeah, you just kind of do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
yeah,
can you break that down for me? It's like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
It's just it's just who I am,
And honestly, they probably shouldn't try. If that's working for them, then don't ever try to.
Versus, right? I feel like somebody who's had to kind of go through this kind of arduous step-by-step process. When you do get there, you might never get as high as some of those players, obviously, but you do have both an intuitive understanding that you understand that you can just do and repeat on autopilot, but you can also break it down into an analytical step-by-step. You can you can see the kinetic chain of the shots as a particle and a wave, like this connected thing intuitively, and you can break it down into steps to the extent that's helpful to communicate to people.
Yeah. Were there any other specific things that you wanted to get into as far as the physical aspect of that integration, or
I think we could transition to maybe like the emotional umbrella.
Okay.
And derail at any time.
Okay.
If you have a thought, whatever.
All right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But,
obviously you do that all the time.
Yeah, I do. We both are notorious, which is why I think we're trying to. Our idea was like, let's add some more structure.
This is
to
the most
podcast.
we've ever stayed on topic,
right?
Probably ever,
and that still includes me forgetting all of the notes that I had.
Yeah,
right. The first time I had notes.
I think we're doing a great job staying on topic. I'm surprised, honestly.
Hopefully. I mean, whatever. It's an experiment.
Yeah.
So that was kind of phase one, and phase two is very much correlated, and still the umbrella topic being integration as a whole through tennis. So we've talked about like the physical integration that the practice of really getting better at tennis offers, the kinetic chain physically. And then I want to go into more of the emotional connection. Yeah. And the emotional physical connection. I think there's a quote that I want to get into, especially because you mentioned your shoulders tight.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's just her
Yeah.
Go ahead. I mean, I could talk about it, but that's not really the.
But the relevance. There's this teacher that I really enjoy listening to named Thomas Hubel, and I listened to this podcast that he did in the last couple of weeks, and I had to like listen to it 2 or 3 times in order to kind of like really integrate what he was saying. And he used the example of like having a tight back. It's like, let's say you have a tight back, and the key here is he's really talking about the mind-body connection. And what he says and recommends is like, don't try to get rid of the tightness in the back, but see if you can come to realize the part of yourself who is actually doing the tightening. Like there's a part that, like, this is inarguable. There's a part of your body that decided, okay, the best thing for the body to do is to tighten this muscle. Yeah. Probably to protect it, right? So this could just be a physical response because you play too much tennis or use your shoulder. But there's also a whole line of study about how emotions in the body are strongly connected, stress and what have you, and that emotions are energy, just like we were talking about with the physical body and moving energy. Emotions are energy that move through the body, feelings, and they can get stuck. And they can get lodged in different parts. Yeah. And so the process of kind of loosening yourself up and exploring, how do we get this kinetic chain of my forehand working? On my serve, one of my main technical hiccups that we talk about a lot is like my shoulder is just tight on my serve. Yeah. And it's kind of because I developed it as a kid for various reasons, trying to learn a serve in a way that I didn't quite technically do the way I should have. and not being strong enough to just like muscle the ball. So I developed this muscle memory where I can't like allow the racket to drop as much as I could.
Yep.
Which I'm slowly kind of overriding through repetition now. And it's
you have that
multi-year, that weird like flip that happens.
Because you said that you were trying to do what your coach was telling you to do, but it's kind of like a made up or like a
it's like almost
like a fake way to
in
do
an
it.
illusion.
Kind of.
Like you keep the momentum going without actually.
Like, I'm dropping my racket because like the racket is going backwards.
Yes.
But that's not what he was actually saying. Yeah.
And that was before like video replay where you could like see, oh wait, he's actually doing this wrong. He's just making it look like he's doing it right. And then you learn that, and it becomes kind of integrated.
Yeah.
And
apparently that is super common. Like with the serve in tennis, I talk to you sometimes about following that subreddit 10S. So there's two tennis subreddits on the website Reddit. One is for like following professional tennis, and then one is for amateur tennis players and like tips and tricks and all that, anything to do with playing in amateurs. And so many people get into little things that happen in the serve that you're not even aware of. One of them is, which I find really interesting, it doesn't, and this is a little off topic, I derailed us.
No.
But the grip, obviously, is super important. And there's a grip called the continental grip that you use for serving.
And the shake hand grip.
But it's not intuitive because like nobody would think to do it unless you learn it.
Yeah.
And so then people try and learn it, and what they do is they put the racket in the continental grip, and then they do this, and then they switch it.
Yeah, they cheat.
And then
because it's easier.
Yeah.
To get it in, but you can't actually.
They're not even aware of it, though.
No, I've done that.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure I've done that. I've had to, and to correct that, I'll often put the serve grip. I even used almost like a backhand, like a single-handed backhand grip, which is even more extreme because it's like I'm suspecting that I'm changing the continental into a forehand grip in that same spot. Like after the motion's already started, you can start with the right grip. And after you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, if I make this grip even more extreme, it will be hard. If I switch it, I'll probably switch it maybe to the continental.
Yep.
And that's helped. But yeah, that's very true. It's all this unconscious stuff that goes on, and it just requires this patience and this diligence to like do the harder things that don't pay off. Essentially, that you really have to do your due diligence and do the hard work and the repetition, repetitive work that's necessary to develop the best serve that you can. Like if you're modeling Roger Federer, you're never gonna get anywhere near close. But if you want to get as close as you can, then you need to hit your serve with a continental grip. And when you try that, when you never have, it's gonna feel totally weird.
Yep.
And you're not gonna even be able to get a serve anywhere in.
Yep.
And if you want to play, and then you want to play a match tomorrow, you're gonna double fault like every time, and you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Right. or you could hit your serve with a frying pan grip, which is like kind of what you use for a forehand, Eastern style forehand, and you get the serve in like way easier, and you'll have a chance of winning. And then you could keep doing that, and then it will become ingrained, and then you're going to reach a point where you just can't get better with your serve.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be as good as you could otherwise be.
Yep.
So you can do the short way where you start getting results faster, or you could do the really frustrating, counterintuitive process, and hopefully if you even know that it's available, if you have the opportunity to have lessons, or now you can just look at YouTube and kind of, if you're learning, and go through that process, which I don't want to skip over the rest of we maybe have a few more things we could discuss about emotional management, because I do want to get into the learning process in the next kind of phase of the conversation.
Okay.
Which is like the mental. So obviously I was talking about like when I first played high school tennis, like the nerves Like I remember one of the first things my coach would say, like, even doing some like basic like faux competitive drills or whatever, maybe with like another player at a clinic or something, and he'd be like, "Are you breathing?" I'd be like, I'm not breathing. I was holding my breath for the injury, and I was wondering why I was getting tired. It's like, man, I must be really out of shape. It's like, no, you're just like so nervous, or you can't focus and do this thing at the same time. And yeah, I'd get like really tired. I wouldn't know I had to learn how to breathe playing tennis. Like,
yeah.
And that's like just
That's why a lot of people do the grunting or
yeah.
the you
Right.
know, like when they're hitting the ball. It's a way that their coach has taught them to breathe.
And actually that reminds me, hopefully the guest we've been trying to have on, and maybe we'll have on in one of the next episodes if we can organize it. We haven't discussed it. Is our friend who's a Buddhist monk. And actually when I was in high school, he was an assistant coach at some of these high school clinics. And my first now he's kind of a friend that we hit with now and then. But back then, I remember meeting him, and they kind of had like all the kids lined up on the baseline or whatever. And it was, we'd done our drills, and now it was time to like listen to like a little speech or instruction. And I remember him like going up to everybody and just saying something totally different than any of the other coaches would say. He didn't talk about technique or forehand. He was like, "How tense are you feeling?" was what he asked. It's like, "Are any of you feeling tension in your body? Like, pay attention to that." And I was like, "Oh, that's totally different." And who knows how seriously I took it, but it stayed with me. That was my first time mentioning it. I was like, that's different, and that's something I totally needed to hear. Like, I had no awareness of that.
Yeah. Okay, this is a little off topic, but it has to do with teal.
Okay.
I also have the guy that we were talking about. One time, I think I was describing like losing a match, and he goes, "Why?" He goes, "Why did you do that?"
Why did you lose?
Yeah. He's like, "Why did you lose?" Like, I don't know if it was like the person that I.
That sounds like something.
And then what's funny is like, I'm pretty sure it was him. That he was like, "You should be a lot better than you are," or something like that. Like, why aren't you better than you are?
Yes.
And then he said the same thing about you, Evan.
That I should be way better than that.
He was like Evan too. Like what?
What the fuck?
He's
What's
like,
wrong with you guys?
He should be blah 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 by now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn. Then that has stuck with me. Actually.
Man, I never heard that.
That's kind of funny.
I mean, that sounds totally like him, and he's like the epitome of somebody who I'm sure uses tennis as part of his practice. I'm sure everything he does, being a all-out Buddhist monk, everything's part of his practice of spiritual integration and whatnot. So yeah, it's like those types of kind of Zen mastery like questions are asking you to reflect on what is holding you back. Clearly you have some kind of block, because otherwise you should be better than you are. And he's right. Like, right? That can send me off on a whole spiral on why I'm not like a level above where I could be right now.
Yeah. I think it probably similarly for both of us, like, it's if you watched us play tennis, you'd be like, "Oh, he must be blah blah blah."
Yes.
And then we go out and lose.
I've focused a lot.
Or like, I'll even have people watch a match that I play.
This is a perfect transition, but
and
continue.
they're like, "Oh man, that was. Did you win?" Or like, well, "That looked really close." And I'm like, no,
"I watched you play.
I got blown away."
I watched you play a match where we talked about this last summer, and then I played the same guy, and the same thing happened to me. So where I watched and like I didn't know what the score was for part of it, and I was like, we both know this is one of the better players in the area.
Yep.
David, right? Like he's probably whatever. He's one of the better players in the area, and watching, it's like I couldn't really say which one of you is hitting better shots. Like maybe he's a little more steady and consistent, and every once in a while, like hit some pop, but you hit some pop too. And then the score is like, oh, you got totally blown out.
Yeah.
And the question there, part of it, you could just say it's like a technical thing. Like maybe he's a bit more sound overall, and the subtlety of those slight advantages just adds up on the tennis scoreline. But I think a big part of it is, okay, I have an excuse and I have a reason for maybe like not being.
Have I completely derailed us, or is this?
No, this is a really good transition. Okay. If I can like walk the line of the transition, is essentially, this is the thought I'm having, is going back to like this idea of learning a serve correctly with a correct grip, even though it's counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. And that's going to take you 10,000 serves to like get so it's good or good enough to be competitive in a match. Maybe 10,000 is, let's just say 1,000, right? And that takes a while to hit. Like that's a bunch of baskets of balls in order for you to be able to get the serve in somewhat reliably with a continental grip, versus going to the easy frying pan grip where you just like bunt the ball so the serve goes in. So if I'm learning to serve and I have those two options and I have a match tomorrow, I should go with the easy grip if I want to win. If winning is my priority. Yeah. If that's why am I playing tennis? If my reason is, well, I just want to win in the near future, like today and right now. Yep. And I just want to like kind of feel good about winning and being competitive, and that's why I'm playing tennis. Then yeah, you shouldn't learn the continental grip, and you should hit the forehand grip and maybe have a chance of winning versus absolutely losing, unless you play somebody really bad who's doing the same thing the next day. Yeah. So the point is putting in the work to be the ideal, like this far off goal, in the short or even medium term might make you worse as far as your competitive results are concerned. Yeah. Like if I'm trying to hit a backhand like Roger Federer, if I'm trying to like copy his technique imperfectionate or like imperfectly is the word I'm looking for, as I might be doing it, even attempting to get as close as I can I'm gonna miss because it's really hard. It's really hard to do it that way. Versus I could kind of have a hack backhand that I can get in, and at lower levels, just getting the ball in more consistently is going to help you win a lot more than hitting a really good shot every third ball and missing 2 out of 3. Yeah. Even though the one that you hit is like really good. So part of the reason for maybe delayed progress on a competitive, like having maybe form, like when you see us play, might look like we're just as good as people who are by results a little better. Yeah. And then we play and we lose. Part of that, my reason, is because my reason for playing is using tennis as a practice to become the best that I can, which involves, trying to perfect my form and technique, which when you're trying to win, over focusing on your form and technique can be a detriment to winning. Now, the idea is eventually, and it has for me, I've raised my level in the last couple of years. Finally. Yeah. And it's gone up a level for sure. And part of that is because of these last 10, 15 years of really trying to have good technique. Yep. My serve, everything's always still a work in progress. But like I have better technique than most players, at least my ground strokes around here. Or it's at the higher level, I think, just objectively. Serve, not so much, but ground strokes, I'm pretty, whatever. I can get them better, but it's taken a lot of work to get there. And now it's starting to pay off because my mental competitive side is now catching up to the actual shot making ability. So let's transition into what is that mental side? Like Teal says, like, why did you lose? Yeah. Like you have the shots, your forehand and backhand. It's good enough. Is it perfect? No, but it's good enough to like compete with some of the better players. So why did you lose? It's probably a lot of time these emotional kind of aspects, right? Yep. And those are the questions sometimes that you're forced to ask yourself. Like I went through a phase where I almost had the same, where I'd play players who were, and it's very easy to get like egotistical, right? And catching yourself being egotistical, like, oh, not respecting your opponent and being like, oh, I should beat this person, and then losing to them. And you start realizing, like one thing that helped me was like, okay, just because your forehand and your backhand are clearly more technically sound than your opponent does not mean that you're a better tennis player than them.
No.
Because they just beat you.
Yeah.
Right? So that doesn't mean you're better.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you consider a better. Yeah. If the result of the match, or a series of matches, let's say, if you played against each other 10 times and they beat you the majority of the time,
they're better.
Does that mean that they're better at tennis?
And yes, the egotistical part of yourself wants to be like, no, they're just a better, whatever, ugly player who cares too much about winning. So that's what the ego would say. But really, the healthy response is they're better. They're a better tennis player, especially like when you ask yourself, why are you playing tennis? Like, I'm playing tennis, I'm using it as a practice for integration. And if all I cared about was with form and I could just be like, oh, I'm just trying to hit the prettiest forehand and I don't care about winning, then okay, but that would leave out all the challenges that it takes to actually win also, and all the lessons you need to learn to get good at that. And so again, going back to like that high school clinic where our friend the monk there is just like, are you feeling tense right now? And then you start realizing that, oh, I am feeling tense. Maybe it was like a year later I like recognized that on the court. It's like, oh, I am feeling tense. Or I would go through these examples. I think I was just starting a story about playing these a number of players who clearly their shots just weren't as good as mine, and I would lose. And I would lose almost verbatim the same way. I would like go up a certain amount, and then at that score line, they would come back, and then I would like get ahead, and then they would come back and win. In like, it was almost like the same, different player, or it could have been the same player a couple times. Whereas like the same score line, I have the better shots, not in an egotistical way, just objectively, and lose in the same way. And I'm like, I think I'm doing this in a way that I'm subconscious of. I'm almost like there's like a self-sabotage thing going on, like subconsciously. And then you have to look into that. And then you notice, and then when you start doing that over the years, you notice like these thoughts come up and these emotions come up when you're playing that in the past actually derailed you and sabotaged you. And then you catch them in the moment. Yeah. Because you're looking for them and you know it's happened before. And it's a long, frustrating path. Yeah. And then those things, when you become aware of them, you start feeling the tension, feeling the emotion, expecting it even. Expecting it's like, oh yeah, like before you walk up to serve the match out, remember all those times that you just double faulted 3 times and blew the match? Be ready, because you're probably going to do that again. And because you're ready, when that situation presents itself, then you learn like, let's feel this out. Why am I tense? Oh, I am tense. Maybe then you learn to breathe into that. Oh, the tension, the energy of that emotion goes away. Yep. Right? So just like the physical and the emotion, moving that energy, clearing it, learning these practices, integrating the emotions, going through those trials to step by step notice, and then probably still lose. Yeah. Right? But again, you sense that you're making some type of a progress that's hard to identify in that sense.
One of the things I was gonna I actually wrote down to ask is like, what is your inner monologue actually in a match, which could be an interesting topic and could get embarrassing.
No, let's do it. I mean, that's what people want to hear, right?
Yeah. I haven't really thought about it for myself either, but during a match,
that's a good question.
If you're maybe your average inner monologue, but then also, if you're in a bad place mentally, or then maybe if you're in a good place mentally.
Well, here's I can talk about maybe what my monologue was when I was in high school and having my first competitive matches, and then how that's transitioned to now. Because now I'm not enlightened by any sense of the ability to completely control all my thoughts, but I'm at least somebody who, when I'm playing, is actively intending to curate what I'm thinking about in the match and recognize when something, if like a thought pattern comes up in the match, I'm trying to catch it if it's not helpful. If all of a sudden I'm noticing like thoughts like, how could you possibly lose to this person? Maybe I don't notice it the first time that thought comes up, and then the second or third time I might hear it and be like, okay, we're not thinking that thought now, and I'm aware. And once you bring awareness, these thoughts kind of dissipate. Like that's kind of how meditation works. Like,
Right.
Bring awareness and you kind of let it go. Just like the tightening of the back or whatever, like find the part that's doing the tightening. Don't try to like force the tightening out. And then once you find that part, it kind of like lets go. Right? That's the idea. So the inner monologue, that's part of the practice as like a meditation, is catching those thoughts if they're not helpful. And generally thoughts when you're doing something physical aren't the most helpful for the most part, unless they're very targeted and specific. But yeah, man, like
What are some specific things that
going
you'll say to yourself, or like
generally
things
about anything about I'm trying to think of something like over the top, but generally my problem, and I don't mean this in like trying to put myself in a good light, isn't like being overly competitive or I don't know, antagonistic towards my opponent. It's more stuff about myself.
For real? Like, I honestly, like you think thoughts more about yourself, and like
and like
if
bad,
you have bad thoughts, it's
it
like
would
about
be
yourself,
like you don't. Maybe it's like you don't deserve to win, or if you beat this person, they might not like you, or these are the things that I've discovered that I wasn't totally aware were there. So there was a lot of self-sabotage, which I didn't realize until like there was enough evidence from playing matches where it's like I'm clearly participating in kind of sabotaging myself. Just
would you say that like so if I was to say like at your worst, is that?
I mean, I'm sure I've probably thought some like bad things about my opponents over the years, but
most like at your worst, most of the time it's self-reflective or self-directed.
Yes. And maybe this is I did want to throw in my one astrological little tidbit. I always have to throw something in. Thinking about the planet Mars in astrology, and where a person's Mars is kind of determines how their competitive nature manifests.
Yeah.
In their personality. That's the astrological theory. So my Mars is in Cancer, which is like a water sign, and Mars is a fiery planet. So it's like this conflicts averse placement in a lot of ways. It's the sign, like Cancer is the sign of the mother and being like kind and making sure people get along. So then this, the aggressive nature and the competitive nature is kind of coming through this indirect expression in Cancer for me. So where somebody in like has their Mars in Aries is just going to be like, that's my opponent. I'm going to put a spear through their heart right now. Like, and it's just natural, direct. So for me, it's like then this, how do I express this in like a way that's not sacrificing my own, competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like to be that's kind of my natural inclination is like, how do we make everybody get along? And it's kind of a weird way to find a way where you can win and be successful without just being a dick. Like if I get really pissed off, it might help for a second. Like every once in a while, like if I have an opponent now and then who's clearly cheated or made some calls which are over the top, or have some type of like a heated exchange with them or something for a minute, that kind of gets your energy up. But if I keep focusing on that, it's going to derail me.
Yeah.
I play the best when I'm literally having fun and in the flow and not thinking about anything. Other people, from my observation, and I'm not saying this makes me sound like, oh, I'm so much kinder. I think it's literally, it just happens to be how my nature is.
Yeah.
Where other people are more fiery and like they're more, have that direct warrior energy going.
That could get into the free will question.
I do want to get into that.
Because anyway. But,
yeah, absolutely. Where I think other people, like actually, like Novak Djokovic, possibly the best tennis player ever, he will look for things to just get pissed off about. And that elevates his game. If I'm like ruminating on all these...
he's ruthless to people.
He's ruthless.
Oh, he uses like...
whatever.
The worst language and stuff, like against his opponents and his opponents' families, and
and I wasn't,
not. He usually uses it in his native language, so you don't know what he's saying. But yeah, that's what. He
and that
he
helps
uses.
Him.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not putting judgment, and without even intending this. Because I know astrology, Djokovic is Mars in Aries, the guy who wants to throw the spear through the person's heart. Federer has my Mars placement, Cancer. So it's like fire and ice and how they...
Yeah.
Even though earlier on Federer was explosive and he has everybody's unique, but just talking about Mars. So like, how you approach conflicts and things like this. I also just want to say, watching tennis players who are professional and on live TV, or even watching our friends play ourselves under pressure on this one-on-one competitive sport that tennis is, you can look like a crazy person.
Yeah.
Very easily. And
yeah. I feel like
I think especially like Novak Djokovic off the court, watch an interview with him, he's the most like together, very respectful person from what I've seen. But on the court, it's like all of those little shadow parts come out. So, everybody has if you have these little flaws or imperfections, go play a tennis match. They're going to come out. Even if you're a beginner and you have like you're competing. It's an individual sport, no teammates unless you're playing doubles. All those little things are going to be really magnified. Yeah.
If you care about it. I think that's the thing. It's like,
that's another one.
If there's, because some people can go out and play and they really don't care about the result, or are really just playing for fun, But when you start to care about the result of either the match or how your body is reacting or how well you're hitting, I think that's when the bad stuff starts to come out, because people can have that one-on-one competition, like even in a tennis match or whatever, and not have those I think it's when you start to attach some kind of care or idea of what should be happening and it's not happening, that's when that kind of all those negative things get exposed and start to come out.
I think the key word you used is attached.
Yeah.
'Cause I think most humans, there are certainly very benevolent people out there, but I think there's a part of everybody who, using the Mars example again, has a competitive nature somewhere.
Yeah.
Some people, including aspects of myself, have like gone through the process of realizing it's there more than I knew it was. And some people might have it so tucked away somewhere where they don't even realize that they care about winning to some degree. Like, even if, I don't care, like the most casual competitive thing, it could be tennis or something else between two friends, whatever, just having fun. I would argue in both of them, in every human, there's some aspect that's like, yeah, but I do kind of want to win.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's in there somewhere. It's in the mix somewhere, whether you're aware of it or not. So, but again, what I've realized is that I play my best when I'm not focused on winning and losing. When I'm really not focused on that, because that's something that you can't actually control. It's not a tangible thing. Like, what is winning? What do you do to win? It's like you do everything. Like you do it, and you can't do everything all at once. Maybe you get to match point, and your goal shouldn't be to win. Your goal should be to not even win that point. It should be hit this shot you're hitting right now.
Yeah.
In a well-connected way. And then do that, and then keep doing that, and then you might win the point. So maybe we can get into the part 3, like the mental side, because you were bringing up like not caring, or this idea of maybe I just don't care if I'm going to win. And you could say that that's okay. We're just taking it easy and not competing. Or for me,
I'm not looking at my phone just randomly. Sorry.
No. You got
I'm
some,
like bringing up
perfect.
some notes every once in a while.
Yeah, we've got some structure going. Yeah. So this idea of not caring being like, for me, I've used that. I've told myself that mentally, like, oh, I don't care if I win. I've tried that trick, and as a way to protect my ego.
It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. But you learn, whether you want to or not, where you're like, oh, I don't care if I win. And then you realize what you're really doing is, if you lose, you can be like, I wasn't really trying. I didn't really care. They weren't really better than me, guys. I was just,
I've had people tell me that too. It would be like, dude, just, you care too much. Like, just don't care, And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I just slap the ball around and lose just as bad. And it obviously didn't work at all.
Do you want to bring up, you can bring this up if you want. You told me there was some match that you had where your opponent was like, it doesn't matter who wins or loses.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me that story.
Yeah. I think that was a USTA. Oh, no, it was a ladder match. Yeah. And what was the circumstance? It was like somebody... Oh, yeah, they were like, yeah, we're just here to have fun. Like, let's just play the point over or something, because it's just, we're just having fun. And I was like, oh, well, just let me have the point then, and then we can just have fun.
Clearly doesn't matter.
Or, if it doesn't matter, like, why don't we just say that I won the match?
I just have the set?
Yeah, like, I'll take the win. And then,
we can just
play for fun.
Oh,
no. I mean, like, so I'm like... You're not really here to just have fun,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a competition.
Yeah, like, why are we keeping score then? Why did we sign up? Why don't we just play casually and not sign up for the USTA league where you get a ranking and
which
all of that?
I definitely was frustrated at the time, and probably was a little bit shitty with how I was talking to him, but.
But I think that's a disingenuous. He was being disingenuous.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we're just here to have fun, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, well,
and maybe that's what they believed. That's why they were there for, but that's not why you were there for.
Yeah,
not entirely, partly,
right? Yeah,
but not completely.
Maybe I was just more concerned about the. Yeah, I had more attachment to the result maybe than they did or something.
Yeah, and to me,
which is valid. Like, if your goal is to win a certain tournament or get to a certain level in a league or on,
going back to that YouTube channel that I had going, where it's like I want to get to the 5.0 level. And I think I said in like the first video, it's not so I can be like, look at me, I'm a 5.0, like, look at what I did. It's more going back to using tennis as an integration practice for all the things required to make me an overall person, emotionally, physically, psychologically, who's capable of winning at a 5.0 level. If that's possible, like aiming for that reason, for the development. Like, the healthiest way that I have found for myself to look at winning is it's just a result of doing everything else well. If I'm playing well, which usually means I'm having a good time. Like, even if my opponent's like pissed off or not having a good time themselves and I'm playing well, like learning to just put that in their bubble, like just me, like if I'm playing well, doing the right things, taking care of myself physically, mentally focused, oh, look at that, I won. And then if I do win or if I do lose, I can use that result to be like, oh, I'm on the right track, or maybe I lost, but it was against someone clearly way at a higher level. And it's like, okay, that's okay, but I played well against them. You can just use it as a barometer to see where you're at, the results.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the mental game though, like,
I mean,
yeah,
I
there
think
are all
this is
these
all
tricks.
mental game type of stuff that we're or
Well,
is there a certain
when we're talking about, you can just, in one sense, you can make distinctions between
mental and emotional?
mental and emotional
Yeah.
and physical. Or you could say that the physical is like this energy, your body is energetic, emotions are energetic, thoughts are related to those energies moving. So you could say it's all one thing, but then it gets hard to
Oh no,
communicate.
I just meant the last few minutes or whatever we've been talking. It has been mental
Yeah, I think
related,
we're transitioning
right?
to the mental game.
Yeah.
You mind if I just get some water real quick?
Yeah.
We're back.
We're back.
Okay, so yeah, now we're kind of in the mental game side of things as far as that goes. So one of the things I thought would be interesting in the mental part of the conversation was talk about the learning process. So kind of going back to our intros and how we got into tennis and what learning was like and the frustration of learning and getting better, like even now, right? Like getting to that next level, like hitting walls and being willing or not willing to go through that process is interesting. And something that really helped me become aware of like the learning process was the 4 phases of learning. Have I talked about this before? Maybe we've talked about it.
Maybe.
Okay. So when you start something brand new, tennis or otherwise, you're at a phase which is called unconscious incompetence. So that means when you're just starting something new, especially if it has any degree of difficulty to it, like a technical sport, you are terrible, but you don't even know you're terrible because you haven't even really gotten into it yet.
Oh yeah.
Like you just don't know you're bad.
Yeah.
You suck. You have no idea. Then you start trying. You start like giving it a go, and you realize, oh, I kind of suck at this. This is hard. And what that is then conscious incompetence. Now you're aware. So that's phase 2. Unconscious competence, then conscious incompetence. Now you know. And this is where when people give up on things, when they start, they give it a go. It's like, oh, I want to try that. They don't know it's hard and that they're bad. Then they try. Then they realize, oh, it's hard and I'm bad.
Yeah.
But if you don't give up, so if you're aware of this process, whenever you start something new, like you're going to encounter that, it helps to know that going in my opinion. Because then you can be like, okay, this is going to be tough for a little bit. And then if you keep going, despite being bad and knowing that you're bad, you start getting better. You start getting better, and then and then that kind of gives you momentum and motivation to keep going until you get to a point where the third phase is conscious competence. Like you're actually kind of like okay at this. Like you can do it to some degree, maybe you're even good. But you still have to kind of think about it. You can't just like do it. You can't show up with, right? Like thinking about driving. Like when you first learning to drive, I remember when the first time I ever got in a car, it was like my dad's truck, and I almost like floored it into the woods because I didn't know how sensitive the gas was. I was like, oh, you just kind of stomp on this thing, right? And just unconscious incompetence. And then I learned on a stick shift, which was tough, and I was just stalling out. And you just realize, oh, this is hard. And then you get to a point where like, okay, here's like your permit or maybe even your license, but you're kind of like white knuckling around because you're like, don't get in an accident, you're like hyper focused driving.
Yeah.
And then you keep going, and obviously you always want to be paying attention driving, but you get to a point where you're kind of like integrated with the car. So conscious competence is like you can do this, but you're thinking about it. Then the final kind of when you get into the mastery or you just know how to do this now is unconscious competence. where you're competent, you know how to do this, and you don't have to think about it. It's just ingrained in you.
Yep.
So I think that's just an interesting tidbit that I find very useful. Looking back and learning tennis, it's that like there are elements. I'm still working on my serve always right now. I mean, maybe I'll tinker with a shot that I think is pretty good, like my forehand or something in the future, if I want to like get to past 5-0 or something. I think my forehand's good enough to be a 5-0. I'm just going to say. Forehand's good enough to be a 5-0. I don't need to change much with my forehand. But we'll find out, maybe. But my serve, certainly, I need to keep working on and thinking about. So I'm like, I get my serve in most of the time. You know, it works. I can compete at a certain level that I'm happy with, and it's getting better, but I'm still pretty conscious about it. It's like I can hit my serve. It's not technically all the way sound, clearly, but it's like conscious competence, where my forehand can get to, depending on the day, can get to a level where it's I'm not thinking about my forehand, and it's and I'm hitting it well.
Yep.
Sometimes it goes off, and it comes back down into I need to think about this a little bit.
Yep.
But so that element of the mental game, just learning how has, I don't know, hitting walls and not getting frustrated, not turning away, you know, or accepting hitting a wall and being like, actually, I'm okay with just being here right now. You know?
I think I've probably gone through those couple of last stages a couple of different times, and because you reach a certain level maybe, and then you're like, in order to get to the next level, you gotta almost relearn some stuff, or learn a new element of it,
or let go of something that you learned that wasn't really helpful at the next level.
And there's times I think where I think right now maybe I probably most of the time am choosing to stay where I am. And then sometimes tinkering and but like even the last I took a private lesson for the first time in a long time. And I went into the lesson and I told the coach, I said, I don't want to change my game in a drastic way. I want to just give me like little things I can work on, or little tweaks.
Right.
And I think there was like a conscious thought of I don't want to put in that much work to like completely change my forehand. Or
how much energy that takes.
It's a lot.
And it's about what your goals are at this time.
Which is interesting because I still get so frustrated at not competing at a certain level or winning more or whatever, but then I also consciously know that I'm not putting in enough work to get to that next level.
Right. And I mean, maybe this is a good transition talking about, you already brought up free will, decision making, and to me, like these types of decisions we make or current preferences that we settle on that determine what our goals are and what we're achieving. Like, it's like, okay, part of me wants to like kick everybody's ass and do the work, but then you realize, okay, but that would require this, this, and this, and that sounds unpleasant. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how much do you want that versus how much are you willing to sacrifice? And being honest about it. And maybe the answer is right now, I have other priorities where I want to put my energy. And yes, I would like to get better, but this is outweighing that. And I just think the way people make decisions in general is not what they think, right? It's like these cumulative emotions that we have, which it's like, oh, this feels like that, and this possibility feels like this. and this feeling is heavier than that one. And I'm just going to like kind of go in that direction. And then we might come up with like a whole argument of thought that justifies that course of action based on some vague feeling that we are barely aware of. And we'll be like, oh yeah, I decided to do this because this and this, you know?
Yeah.
And I've been thinking a lot of that, about that. Because we can still talk about mental stuff, like, which there's a lot. And that seems like most of what people talk about in tennis is the mental side of the game, tactics and catching your thoughts.
Yes, people do talk about that a lot, but then also sometimes people don't talk about it a lot. Like, especially at the, I've never had a private lesson where somebody really got into like the mental side of the game. Or it's always all about technique and technical.
Right, lessons for sure.
Or even, when I'm, playing a match with somebody, practicing with somebody, or I'm playing doubles with somebody. Most of the time, I'd say if somebody gives me a tip, it's something technique-wise.
Yeah, I agree with that as far as coaching is concerned. I guess what I meant more by it is that tennis is one of those sports that's associated with being a mental game. Like golf and tennis, they're individual. There's a lot of individual pressure, and therefore, like your mental focus and that element is just more noted than maybe hockey or basketball. Like all sports are everything is mental, but it just has like a reputation. But I want to kind of go into like what we could umbrella term spiritual integration. Thinking about free will. Actually, again, I think this was also our friend Teal, the Buddhist.
I sent you a video about free will recently, which is kind of funny.
Oh, I've been going more into free will than I've ever contemplated. So that's where I'm headed right now.
Nice.
I think one of the last times I hit with him, which was a while ago, talked about like when hitting like a winner, like hitting a winning shot. And that for him, when it happens, it just happens.
Yeah.
It's not like I tried to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like when you hit a good shot, it's like, there you go. Oh yeah, that happened. Versus, I hit that shot there to set up this one and then put away a cross-court angle, with this amount of top spin. Like there's none of that is happening. And I think we can both relate to how often do you step up to the service line and be like, I'm going to hit an ace right now. And you actually do or something. Very rarely. Very rarely. It's almost like that inhibits it. Most of the time when you just hit an amazing shot, it's kind of just there. It's the right time. And it kind of happens by itself to a certain degree.
Yeah, or it's like the idea of a thought, but it's not a full thought or something.
No,
it's like,
you don't have time to think about it, really.
Yeah.
Right? It's just kind of like a dance.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this is the next step in the dance.
Yeah.
Right? That's the finishing shot, right? And in order to do that, you have to be really attuned to what your opponent's doing. Mm-hmm. And you have to, I know you've talked about playing tennis almost like cooperatively rather than competitively. Where they don't even know that you're just like, I'm just kind of hitting the ball.
I didn't even really care if they knew or not, but I remember, there was a time when, and I swear it was one of the times I probably played my best. I haven't been able to replicate it though, so I'm like, maybe that's not what was happening. But I would literally just be like, okay, I'm going to help them win this match. Yeah. And then I would win more.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really helping them. It was more of like, instead of like trying to hit through the
You're
person,
being very consistent.
I'm going to put this ball over here and see if they can get to it.
Yeah.
Or like,
let's see what happens.
Or like
just asking questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, man, so one thing that I've noticed recently, I haven't been playing tons, is clearly getting cold outside and got to get like an indoor membership and everything. But I've been using some guest passes from one player we both know. And there's a few different indoor courts, and the one over on Kennedy Drive has like fast courts which they're probably my favorite courts. Like I always play well there.
Mm.
I've always had success playing on those courts, where the ones over in Essex are some of my worst. I've had my worst experiences playing tennis on those courts, competitively at least, or just not playing great, even though I probably play there the most in the indoor courts. So maybe that's just my excuse. But like back-to-back weeks, one day played Kennedy, one day played there. And in Kennedy, yeah, I played really well. Could just hit winners without really feeling I was even going after the ball. And then Essex, then I play the same person, and I feel like I'm playing just the same style that I was playing Kennedy, but the ball's not a winner. They're getting to it.
Yeah.
It's like just the court surface.
Yeah.
So what I told myself was, okay, this time on this court, I'm just never going to even have the intention of hitting a winning shot.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm going to do is, I'm not going to back off. I'm going to keep playing the way I'm going to play, but just expect my opponent to get every ball that I hit.
Yeah.
Just expect them to. And rather than going for any type of risky shot, just hit like a more conservative choice.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of times where it's like, okay, I would have like tried to change direction on this ball and go for it down the line forehand, and choosing not to. It's like, no, I'm just going to spin this cross court. And maybe it was a long rally, and then they missed the next ball, where it's like, man, I could have tried to go for that and probably made an error.
Mm-hmm.
And just backing off and just, seeing what happens and not really having any intention to like win or finish anything.
Yeah.
And then I started playing as well as I feel like I have on those courts just recently, just with that player.
Yeah. It's funny how that kind of stuff works. It's also, though, I've noticed people can get really attached to what works for them, and then they want to tell everybody that they should do that particular thing. And it's like, no, like, yeah, it might work for me but something completely different also might work a lot better. And it could be so frustrating too when you're like, people tend to give you advice when you didn't do something well, or when you're, losing or whatever. And then they, want to tell you what worked for them or what you should do. And it's like, oh my God.
Can you imagine just being a pro with all the fans with their like sideline TV advice?
Yeah.
Like, come on, right?
Yeah.
Even though I do have some very good advice, if, Stefanos Tsitsipas is listening.
Yeah.
I swear it will help you if you listen. But
because it works for you.
Right. So anyway, I think this is kind of going back to maybe some of the mental game and like being a good coach. Like,
yes.
Right? Like, you have to, what a good coach can do is just say the same thing in 100 different ways, and just hoping that something sticks that helps your client.
Yeah.
And it goes back again, that Buddhist, the finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. Like, you can't actually say, this is what a good forehand feels like to you. Like, I can just like step into somebody else's body and be like, this is it. This is what it's like. Now you can do it too.
Yeah.
Just like me. You can't do that. You can describe it in like a bunch of different ways, demonstrate in a bunch of different ways of communicating.
Yeah.
And the more you can do that, and hopefully you can direct it because you're attuned to the person you're talking to, and you can have an idea of how they might think or what might work for them as far as how you explain it. But that's what a good coach can do. So they can say the same thing in a bunch of ways, hopefully in a way targeted at that person that they can figure out for themselves.
Yeah.
Because you can't really just transmit anything.
Yeah. I forget who I was listening to the other day, but they were talking about coaching and how like the best coaches can remove their own ego from being attached to whatever they're trying
and
to.
not be dogmatic. Like, this is the way it is. This is exactly how it's described.
Exactly. Where they can even teach you something that they don't even believe in.
Right, like the two-handed
but
backhand.
it works for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they can recognize that's. They may be like, Jesus, like, why is this fucking not working? But I guess that's how he learns, and I'm just gonna keep doing it because that's my job. You know? Like,
you see that it works and it's has progress, and it doesn't matter. Like, okay, that's getting it to happen. Yeah. On the flip side of that, I think coaches can do a lot of damage by like bad coaches, and they're just. I don't want to be mean to I like people getting into tennis and helping other people learn, but like if you're trying to be like as good as you can be, like there can be some pitfalls with a coach who tells you unnecessary things.
Yeah.
Like if you're told something that might be technically true, but it's not necessary to know, like it doesn't, you don't really need to know it.
Yeah.
That can likely mess you up.
Yep.
Especially because again, it's more really learning a shot is about feeling it and experiencing it yourself and figuring it out yourself with some guidance, ideally.
Yeah.
But like the serve for me, like I remember they used to teach the serve as this down together, up together, like is what they would say, which to this day to me makes no sense.
People get so attached to the way they say something like that
this,
too. And what the does that even mean?
And the toss, like, oh, the toss should be at 1 o'clock. It's like, I can't vision a clock above my head right now. That doesn't help me at all.
Yeah.
Like, where is that? I just see the sky.
Yeah.
Like, sorry. Doesn't work for me. Maybe it works for somebody else.
Yeah.
So anyway, being told something like, really focus on your knee bend when that doesn't, like, there are a lot of things going back to the beginning when we were talking about the kinetic chain. There are parts of a kinetic chain that are only part of that chain because something else set them off into motion. If you try to focus on just that link without the thing that actually set it into motion, you're going to mess everything else up and break the whole chain completely. So if a coach says, that link right there in the middle, really focus on that happening. You can look at that and be like, hey, that's not happening, which means something further down that's the generating that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a doctor, right? Like on a less complicated scale, maybe. Although the tennis serve is pretty complicated. Being able to diagnose those things and be like, actually, like it's a shoulder turn that you should be, maybe if you're going to focus on something, focus on that. Just one example.
Yep. That stuff really works for me. Some people I do feel like for some reason they can get a benefit from those like really technical pieces or whatever, but I've never been able like when if I am being coached, I'd rather have them tell me something that's just gonna make me do this other thing that they want me to do.
Yeah, that you don't need to know about.
But I don't need to know about it. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what is the bare minimum that you can tell this person so that they can figure it out yourself?
Like, oh, your racket needs to be facing a certain way when you make contact with the ball. But instead of like telling me, turn your, make sure your racket is turned that way when you're making contact with the ball, if you turn your shoulder, then your racket is going to.
Or if your wrist, when you're before the volume comes, if your wrist is like facing the side of the wall or something, when you're getting ready, then it just happens to make it so that when you're at contact, which happens in like 1/10 of a second, which you can't pay attention to anyway, it just naturally is in the right spot.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So all of that is important to coaching and learning, and again, being able to attune to who you're talking to. But we were talking about decision making. Kind of, are you, when you hit a winner, are you actually, and
the topic of free will,
free will, which it definitely gets larger than tennis, so that this could derail the tennis specific conversation, but it is interesting. So here's a thought that I had recently on the topic. And I've been reading the Zen Sutras. It's like Buddha's teachings. And so I've almost been like writing some of my own, just like in the same kind of style that they just come. And I was thinking, like, if the wind, like, let's say the wind is conscious, like it's conscious like a person, and it was blowing from the south, and then it switched to the southeast. let's say if it was conscious, it would think that it was deciding, you know what, I'm going to go to the southeast now. I'm coming from the south. I'm going to start blowing to the southeast. And it experiences that as a decision that it's making. When in reality, the wind changes direction because like different pressure systems are coming in. The sun is at this angle. It's this hot. It's this far away. This amount of humidity is going on. And all these things are like influencing the wind and like making it change.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so maybe the wind kind of unconsciously feels all of these factors around it that it's connected to and can't extricate itself from. And it just feels like, you know, I feel like changing to the southeast. I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just does, and it thinks it's making a decision. So that's kind of, that was a thought where I'm like, is that how we make decisions? And I was trying to counter it because I've always been a proponent of free will because we experience ourselves as if we have free will, right? Like, but then when you're playing tennis and you hit the winning forehand down the line, I can't really think of a time where I orchestrated that. It was like it was the perfect ball. It was the right situation. And I feel like it's just the wind thinking it's changing direction. That's where I'm at right now. And I think the way I can connect this kind of far out thought to the rest of the conversation, which is integration, is this integration process, whether it's physical, connecting these different parts of our body in a kinetic chain so we can hit as smooth as possible serve, to recognizing different emotions in our body as we feel them, as we're feeling aggression or anger or nervousness on the court, which is going to make us play badly if we don't address it and maybe locate it in our body and be able to breathe into it and release the tension, catch the thoughts that are maybe self-sabotaging or not helpful. All these things, what they lead to, those are all forms of integration on those levels. To me, spiritual integration is integrating your sense of self as an individual with the totality of everything else, right? Like, it's integrating, like you are literally connected to everything else, right? Like there is no, when you try to find the dividing line, it's not quite there, the subject object, right? That's the entire teaching of Buddhism. So not to just like gloss over the entire teaching of Buddhism and like, that's what it is. And I think that's the goal of spiritual integration. It's not that you lose the self. It's like your self is still there. The classic thing is the wave is still rolling along and be like, yeah, I'm a wave, but also being like, oh yeah, but I'm just water in the entire ocean, right? Like that's a helpful one for me. So I think that any of these practices, whether it is, you can use tennis as a practice to integrate all these parts and eventually arrive as a spiritual practice, as a meditation or whatnot, to get to that point of connectedness. And there's a term called interdependent origination, which I've been thinking about, which again, whether it's construct a tennis point that kind of unfolds by itself, where both all these things are happening and the result just is dependent on multiple factors that all arise together and the result just kind of happens.
Yeah.
So you can observe these things more broadly in life, but you can a microcosmic level through tennis or whatever you want to practice, whether that's dance or yoga or music or martial arts. Like you can practice these things in a kind of disciplined way.
There was one thing in that video that the guy, because I've always, I think, intertwined free will and determinism, I guess, or things being predetermined.
Yeah.
And like consciously or unconsciously, I guess I've done that. But he was, this guy was saying like, no, I'm not saying that, because this person was a proponent of that we don't have free will, basically. But that he's saying that he doesn't believe that things are predetermined. That's not what he's saying.
Okay, he's not saying they're predetermined.
No, he's not saying they're predetermined, but that because you can, I guess, consciously realize that you're only doing this, or you're only going to do these certain things because of past and all these factors that play into it, and then you can have an effect on reality in some way.
I'll give an example because this is just whatever. I've been delving into this. And what I wrote down in my journal was I was trying to think of a counter to like, okay, this idea that we're all just kind of going along for the ride. It's like, well, have I made a decision where I'm like, no, that was a decision. Like somewhere I made that call, you know? And randomly I just thought of this decision that I kind of regret, just like nothing of major consequence that I know of, but it was back when I was in college, and I remember I had this class where there's this kid I recognized, and they do the roll call, and I remember he was like my first childhood friend from when we were like 3 years old, and you know I had an opportunity to like say hi, like whatever. We didn't know each other since we were like 3 or 4. But it was like, that's definitely him. And I feel maybe he recognized my name, maybe he didn't. But I could have said hello, and like, who knows? Maybe we would have reconnected, and who knows? But I remember like almost saying hi and choosing not to, or feeling like I chose not to. And reflecting back, it's like, oh, that was a total choice. You made that choice. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, did I really, like, what actually happened then? And really, like, maybe I was 19, it was probably you're kind of like insecure. You have like these emotional insecurities about being rejected. What if I say hi and he's just kind of a dick, and like, and you don't want to, and that emotionally like puts even something like saying hello to somebody who hasn't acknowledged you is kind of like a vulnerable risk.
Yeah.
Especially if you have those insecurities. And I don't think I even knew I had those insecurities at that time. Like they're just there. So it's just like this feeling. And then there's another part of me that's like kind of lights up. Like, oh, childhood friend, connection, other human, right? And that's a feeling. But that feeling was like not as the feeling of like social risk and social survival. Like generally survival instincts like curb like let's have fun instincts. Like they outweigh them generally in the human psyche. So I think that's really what just happened, whereas like that emotion of like fear of insecurity and rejection was just quickly outweighed this lighter emotion of like camaraderie. But then it came as a thought. It was like, oh, you know, we don't know each other and we probably don't have anything in common, so I'm just gonna sit in this row and not say hi. And I thought I made a decision when it was really all of these subconscious emotional patterns that were there due to whatever childhood traumas, things that I don't even know, stored energies, whatever you want, however you want to go ahead and explain it. And I think doing the work that I've done over the last 10 years or whatever to realize that, oh, those things are there, and this is how you kind of start letting go of those patterns that aren't helpful, where maybe they were at one point, where it's like, yeah, it is good to kind of like protect yourself against social rejection in certain circumstances as a kid. You learn those things are no longer necessary. You start letting go. And now if I saw the same guy, I would be like, oh, hey, right?
Yep, right.
And I would just do that. And is it because I made the decision to become a more integrated person? No, it just kind of happened on its own, really. Because then you regret that decision. You're like, hey, well, if that didn't turn out that well. Well, like maybe I should stop listening to that feeling. It's like, oh, I didn't even know I had that feeling, right? And then this thing just kind of snowballs. And that's what the integration process is. And eventually, the more you get to the spiritual integration, where you have more of a sense of connection with everything else. And the more you have a sense of connection with everything else, you feel less vulnerable yourself, and you don't need to defend yourself so much. And the more
Yep.
you think you're this individual, disconnected, isolated
Right.
individual self, the more you're going to defend yourself and be unaware of all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But all of it, our nature and the nature of reality is to just be connected. So all these other things are like unnatural and they just kind of go away eventually. But it seems like we're learning and making decisions and growing, but it's just happening.
Yep.
That's where I'm at currently.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of interdependent origination. Tennis is one of those things, that you can helps you realize stuff that you just don't, if you don't
Yeah, for sure.
like put yourself in those positions, you won't realize those things about yourself, I suppose.
That's very true. I was trying to think of, when we first started talking about this, I was like, oh man, have I really learned that much about myself from playing tennis? But I mean, obviously I have.
Right?
Yeah.
Just as a result.
Mhm. Yeah, because I wouldn't have been put in those circumstances. I don't think. Maybe in a different.
Yeah, you could have done martial arts.
Yeah,
Got
that's
punched in the face,
Yeah.
and then like, oh wait a minute,
Yeah.
like some stuff. That's actually something I've been thinking about. And tennis,
but it could be a whole different circumstance because
yeah,
I
Could just be life.
You can't punch your opponent in the face in tennis,
no.
but you can if you're. Like,
Maybe we should switch it up
you know,
here. Yeah. That's something I've been thinking about. Like, really, if I wanted to piss myself off, so like I did lose it, like what would I advise? Where, like, how would I do it? And like intentionally find those parts of yourself, and then like investigate that. I don't know, that's my new messed up like thought that I had. But again, the reason I'm saying that is because for me in my day-to-day life, tennis is the closest thing to like confrontation.
Yeah.
In polite society, you're not getting into like arguments over line calls where you're getting yelled at or even raising your voice about things.
Yeah.
Like it's not, if you raise your voice if you have a job and you're at work and you raise your voice, like that's okay. That's a heated exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Where in tennis, you can just like scream now and then,
Yep.
And it's like, okay, that's an acceptable venue for that type of thing within reason.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Do you want to get to that section about?
Oh
the,
yeah. This would be
questions,
This would be
or-
perfect.
Okay.
This would be perfect.
All right. So we've got some. Well, hold on. Let me look at this real quick. Yeah. So we've got some audience questions.
Nice.
So this is from Darren.
All right. Oh, we didn't. I kind of did. I saw him like 2 days ago.
And let's not spend too much time talking about
If he
each
watches
question.
this, we don't really. I know who he is. He's a pro. He was getting pissed off on the court next to us.
Oh,
I think.
really?
Yeah. He was playing with Alex and David, I think, or I think they were playing next to us. I think he was getting pissed off.
Probably USTA.
I think they were playing
Yep,
USTA
yep.
match. Yeah.
So, what are the most aesthetic shots of all time?
Well, he's a Federer fan for sure.
Who had the most aesthetic forehand, backhand, volley, serve?
Okay, should we go shot by shot?
I guess, yeah. I mean, of all time is tough because unless you're a real historian of tennis, you're gonna.
Oh, should we say open era or players people know? Maybe
I think
who are
maybe
like
we should just do what
players we know.
Yeah, players we know.
I mean, I've seen like guys in the 70s play. Like I've seen old matches with McEnroe and Bjorn Borg, and like I kind of know what their games looked like generally.
Yep.
But I mean, it's going to be hard. Just again, I've already talked about Federer so much, not to say Federer on every single shot.
I know.
So
no, for real though. Yeah. Like
should we almost remove?
I
him
think
from
there's an argument for literally every single shot. The answer is Federer.
Would there be one where it's like he's not like maybe Stefan Edberg's volleys? I don't know though. Like no, Federer just makes it look cooler.
Like, yeah,
even if Edberg's volleys were better. Federer's are cooler, and he's probably were just as good, if not better.
Because
So
I think also a big factor is the footwork.
it is.
Factors into every
Yeah,
shot.
it's the whole.
And Federer's footwork
It's the whole
just
kinetic chain, the whole motion, the
Yeah.
whole. Yeah, he's just dancing around. The serve. I mean, you're talking to somebody who, I mean, I know I'm miserably failing, but I'm trying to basically model most of my shots on Federer, or at least like every once in a while, like almost pretending you're him, just like doing like a little
Yeah.
play acting. Sometimes you play really well just pretending.
Okay, let's go through it shot by shot. Just these 4. So forehand.
I'm very partial to forehands like Federer's who are fully extended.
Yeah.
Like, and to me, it's about this is good because the kinetic chain is what is aesthetically appealing. An unbroken, the smoother and less mechanical emotion, the more aesthetically pleasing it is.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think of like a forehand that's fully extended, like that's like the loosest kind of way of hitting it.
I'm gonna give it to Federer on forehand. I can't think of anybody else that.
Nadal's forehand has that full extension. It's very much more physical, obviously, but
It is cool looking.
It is very cool, and it has like that incredible control and power to it.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like swinging as hard as he possibly can,
Yeah.
and it's just going in every time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the forehand. Is there any? I think this conversation, the answer to this is going to be like Federer, but who else could you say? You can't compare any. I think he just wants us to say Federer because he knows that's the answer, right? He knows that's the answer.
Okay, let's move on to backhand. Because this one, I think, I mean, like I said, I think you can make an argument that the answer to every shot is Federer, but
backhand slice is Federer, no doubt.
Backhand slice.
Federer's backhand slice is hands down not only the most aesthetic, best backhand slice ever, I think. From what I've seen, I'm sure there are obviously some other good ones, but
yeah,
I've heard him say that he thought it was his best shot.
Yeah, it's.
And going back when I first saw him play, like seeing him miss a backhand slice in the net is like what made me really fall in love with tennis.
People talk a lot about Wawrinka and Gasquet, their one-handed backhands, which are awesome, but aesthetically, you can't say they look better than Federer's backhand.
You can't.
The only
Wawrinka's one-hander is really cool. I mean, it's so powerful.
Yeah, they're all cool in their own way.
Yeah.
Or like anybody, like you know what's funny is like bringing up Dimitrov.
It's like everything's a little worse.
Yeah,
everything's just a little worse.
It's the same. Even if it was the same, you're like, well, you can't give it to Dimitrov because he just copied Federer. So
right.
It's like you can't.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Oh
man, Dimitrov, what a shame.
The only person what I'm thinking of is Nalbandian, his two-handed backhand.
Yeah,
I just think.
Yeah, I agree. If you're going to talk about two-handers,
it just looks so
very
effortless,
so clean,
and so clean,
compact,
and just
clean.
Compact. Or even Kei Nishikori to me.
I think your game and Kei Nishikori's you're kind of a similar build. You have similar shot. Have you even used the same racket?
I don't know.
I can see you kind of like looking at his game.
Yeah.
And translating.
But like I'm trying to think of like Djokovic.
Nah. I mean, Agassi had a very clean two-hander, you know.
Yeah, but still, like aesthetically,
just the mechanics of it. It's like, okay, I can appreciate but the two-handed backhand is generally a lot uglier than the one-hander. But there's an efficiency and cleanness to a good two-hander that I appreciate.
It's gonna be subjective too, right? Because something might, I guess, look. Huh?
I think beauty is real, and it has. I'm dogmatic about beauty.
So, all right, let's move on to volley. This one would be tough for me to. Honestly, I'm gonna say I probably haven't. Maybe I'm not familiar, or like haven't paid enough attention or really thought about that so much with the volley specifically, where I would be able to, like, again, I go back to like the best volleyers are not always the most aesthetic.
Yeah, there's some doubles players who are just incredible volleyers but they're just
or you look
just
at like
reflexes,
Sampras. I don't find Sampras's game aesthetically pleasing.
His overheads were really cool.
Those were cool.
Those were really cool. And I think his serve was the best. But it kind of looked weird.
Yeah,
like this,
and he did that little weird
thing.
thing where he would have it like point, and he would like point it,
Yeah.
Like he did and I just like,
No, again, I think it's just Federer for everyone.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. All right. So Federer has the most aesthetic shots of all time. All of them.
Yeah. And to me, okay, my little, I guess, whatever, the reason he's the best, not the best at winning, but his game is the most integrated. At least physics, talking about integration. It's like that's what he really zeroed in on, is like, how do we have the least amount of entropy given the laws of physics in the human body for every shot? And that's why it's graceful. Even his footwork is like, how do we get from point A to point B in like the lightest, most efficient way?
Oh, that's a good point.
He was a good enough athlete to actually be able to manifest that and do it.
Yeah.
Mentally, compared to somebody who is just determined as Novak Djokovic or Rafael Nadal. Not that he was a terrible competitor, but when he really was tested, he faltered a good amount, So like the mental game, he couldn't capitalize on the rest of his game, which is by far the best, in my opinion, given the conditions of the sport at the time. Anyway.
This next question is from Jerry. Why in the world would Sabalenka want to play Kyrgios?
I didn't know about this.
So there's going to be a modern day, I guess, like battle of the sexes. They're actually going to do it. Sabalenka versus Kyrgios. And they're going to, I think it's like 2 sets. And I think Sabalenka gets some kind of advantage given to her, like she's playing with the doubles court and Kyrgios is playing the singles court or something like that.
That's a pretty big advantage.
Yeah. But the question is, why in the world would Sabalenka want to play Kyrgios? Obviously, I think
that's kind of a baiting question. It's a very baiting question.
I don't know exactly.
You trying to get us canceled here,
Yeah,
Jerry?
exactly. Yeah. It's got to be just
a publicity.
Yeah, publicity. Money.
Yeah. I mean, as far as
I don't know if it is a fund. I mean, it's got to be like a fundraiser. They're not going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I like why they did the mixed doubles at the U.S. Open last. They kind of made it like a big event before the U.S. Open last summer.
I liked that too.
Which I think it's cool. I think it's cool because it's like, whatever, that women generally don't hit the ball as big as the men, and seeing how they still can compete in the ways that they can compete. But as far as I don't know, we're saying, they can compete at the same level. That's what I think UTR is good. The universal tennis rating. If you play enough and the pros play enough to actually get a pretty accurate, whatever goes into that UTR ranking, is it doesn't matter what your gender is.
Oh, really? I didn't know that about UTR.
You can just, the idea of it is you're just supposed to say, this is how good at tennis this person is. Doesn't matter who they are or whatever, as long as they play enough matches against enough people. It's supposed to just be, this is their number.
Yeah.
I think Sinner, Alcaraz are 16 or something. I don't know what the top women are. I think they're probably maybe the top women are 13 generally.
Interesting.
So
I didn't know that about UTR, that it's
whereas a 5-0 in USTA is, I think, in the 10 and above range. So
okay.
Yeah, a 10 and above, that's as good as you get around in our local area.
Yeah,
Like that's
or
like the best.
Yep.
So you can see like, yeah, the best women in the world are going to kick their butts. I don't care
Right.
how
Yeah,
good
yeah.
a player you are.
Yep.
Or how jacked a dude you are. If you're a 10 and Sabalenka's a 13, she's going to kick your ass.
Yep.
But yeah, clearly, but Kyrgios being injured and not playing and being lazy or whatever, like who knows what his UTR is right now? Can he just, his serve's one of the best ever, so that he could probably just win based on that. But who knows? It might be somewhat of a close match if she has like the doubles alley.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it's not that big a mystery
like,
as far as
if they're obviously not even going to take it seriously. Like it's not like they're going to.
Exhibition.
You're not going to see. Yeah, it's obviously an exhibition. You're not going to see Kyrgios. Because if he took it seriously, he'd treat Sabalenka like shit the whole time. That's what he does, right?
That would be I mean, definitely two very fiery individuals there. So.
Yeah. So that's what I want to see.
So yeah, it's publicity is clearly the answer. Yeah, I'd like to see that too.
Not that I want to see Sabalenka treated like shit, but it would just be funny to like if they actually did. I
would like to see that, and I'd like to see Sabalenka win and Kyrgios be like, being like an ass and lose.
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
Well, I mean, Sabalenka can get shitty too.
So it would be great.
Yeah. This one is from Josh. Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it? And I think he might be, I don't know if that's a real question, but but I think we can try and answer it when it comes to tennis, which is yes.
Yeah, I think you can use it too much though. Like I'm finding like recently I've been playing once a week, just once a week right now, and whenever I play admittedly my tennis, the arc of my tennis career, not lack of career, but is I've gone through phases like a few summers here and there where I'm playing 3 or 4 times a week, and that's like the most I've played, and maybe that lasts for a few months or something.
Yeah,
most of the time it's like 2 to 1 time a week, and then months where I'm not playing or injured or have other things going on. But recently, having played it somewhat during the end of the summer, I got back into the game, and then in the fall I've been playing once a week, and I found that like the once a week is like I'm not losing anything and I'm still excited. It feels like a little foreign because I haven't played for a week. And that keeps me focused, and it feels fresh.
Yep.
Where I feel like if I tried to play once every 2 weeks, I'd start getting rust added on.
Yep.
So I think it's a balance.
Do you find
for my experience.
Doing it once a week is like?
I'd like to play more than once a week for the record.
You'd like to play more than once a week, but do you get more frustrated with your game the more you play?
Yeah, I think like you're likely to hit barrier, or like sometimes when you play a bunch and you get to a level you're happy with and you try to get better, things are kind of like on autopilot because it's like, I did this yesterday, and that kind of like tuning into those subtle things. If you want to change something, everything feels almost so natural that you can't find the parts that need to change because there's so much a part of you.
Yep.
Whereas if you give yourself some space, everything feels a little at a distance, so you can kind of objectively feel things out, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, that was all the audience questions. Actually, can we take a quick break?
What we got? Back? We're back.
Okay, so trivia question.
Nice. Do you already know the answer?
Yeah.
It's the hot seat contestant.
So there's a Guinness Book of World. There's a world record in the Guinness Book of World Records for how many shots total back and forth in a single tennis rally. How many do you think it is?
Is this?
And it's not professional necessarily.
Okay, so this isn't like an ATP match or something.
It could be somebody who just went out and tried to set the world record for.
I'm sure it's a lot. I'm sure it's like a crazy amount. I mean, we're in the thousands.
Okay.
I'm not getting any help.
Just shoot. What's your
5,000.
It's 51,283.
Oh my God. How long did that take, I wonder?
I don't remember. I think it was a
day?
half an hour. I think.
Really?
I think that's what they said. Maybe that might be.
I feel like we've done like 100-ball rallies where we're just hitting, and it's
that actually might be for the. It seems untrue to me, and
that does seem untrue.
But no, I'm saying this one. That there's actually a recorded, not on video, but like a professional tennis rally that went like 683 shots or something. That I believe they said took like 29 minutes or something, and it happened in the 80s.
Wow.
But I have a surprise for you, Evan. I have here.
You really went on. These are the
I have
rackets.
these two rackets that are
they metal?
No, they're wood.
Ooh,
well,
nice.
they're like a composite. They're a wood composite. So I think they started using like this thing called vulcanized fibers, which I don't even know exactly what it is. They're really cool though. These Donne rackets, but they're from the like late 70s, and then I have
poly
this
strings on them.
Well, yeah, so I got it when I got it that it had those strings on it, and I found that one at Goodwill. So I don't know where.
Cool.
Yeah, somebody. Same with this one. It's like it has poly strings on it. But I also have, I don't know where I got these, but this is a can of tennis balls from the 70s.
Whoa.
And I confirmed they're from the 70s. They're in terrible condition.
Oh, they're yellow. When did they turn? When were they no longer white? I guess that happened. Probably
Yeah,
in
I
the
guess
70s.
it must have been. But I have a challenge for you, Evan. We're gonna try to set the world record right now.
For with these rackets?
With these rackets. We're going to try to
Go in
see.
the snow?
No,
the table?
we'll just do it right here.
Okay.
Okay, that was
We did it.
15.
We did it.
That was 15. Good
I mean, I think we should.
nowhere near.
We should try out for the Australian Open.